All right, the school year has begun, and as expected, radical agendas continue to infiltrate our schools and challenge parental rights. It's the indoctrination that is countering your voice. Now, the Family Research Council, we're on the front lines. We're fighting to empower parents and protect our kids, but we need your help. I want you to take a Protect Students survey and share with us your thoughts, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you believe is taking place. And all of this as it pertains to the indoctrination that our children are facing. We need to get your feedback. In fact, this type of stuff that you see and you encounter across the country, you let us know about it. We can talk about it and bring visibility to it here at Washington Watch. But I'd like you to take this survey so that we can better educate and equip parents, pastors, and policymakers to push back on this indoctrination. So here's how you take the survey. Just text the word survey, SURVEY, to 67742. Text the word survey to 67742. You'll get a link, take the survey, and we'll be able to consolidate all those results, and we'll be able to talk about it. All right, so text the word survey to 67742. The Biden administration announced last week that they are taking steps to loosen federal restrictions on abortion. And guess what? As President Biden likes to ask, it appears to be perfectly timed for the 2024 presidential election. The Drug Enforcement Agency, the DEA, has initiated a review after receiving a recommendation late last week from the Department of Health and Human Services to reclassify marijuana from a Schedule I drug to a Schedule III drug. Now, how significant would this move be, and what could the potential impact be of such a change? Well, here to discuss this is Dr. John Fleming, former congressman from the 4th District of Louisiana, who later served as the Deputy Assistant Secretary at HHS and in the White House as as an advisor to President Trump. He also served in our nation's military as a naval medical officer. Dr. Fleming, welcome back to Washington Watch. Great to see you.
Hey, Tony. Great to be with you again. Thank you.
Now, for those not familiar with drug scheduling, can you give us a quick overview of what we're talking about here?
Yes, drugs are scheduled from 1 to 5, 1 being drugs that really theoretically have no medicinal benefit, are potentially dangerous. An example of that would be LSD, heroin. So as a result of that, these drugs are strictly prohibited from use for any pharmacological, any medical use whatsoever. And of course, marijuana still remains a Schedule I drug.
At present, and we have, I think, about 20 some states, maybe 23 states that have legalized marijuana for medicinal purposes. Right. That's a little deceptive because there's no difference between medicinal marijuana and recreational marijuana in terms of how it's grown or its content, because the FDA doesn't regulate marijuana.
That's true, and I think the number is more like 21 have approved it for recreational use and up to 40 for some sort of medicinal level use. So there's no question that the vast majority of the states in this country have approved use of marijuana at one level or another, yet it's still a Schedule I drug, which means on the federal level, it's totally prohibited.
So let's talk a little bit about you're right. It's, I think the latest data I have here, that could be dated, is 30 states have it for medicinal and 19 states for recreational, but these could be dated numbers. So let's talk about the effects of this. I mean, I mentioned this top of the program. There's all this consternation from both Republicans and Democrats about fentanyl coming across the border, and we're talking about the record number of people dying as a result of this. But I'm not hearing a discussion in this about drug use, about people taking drugs that they shouldn't be taking and dying as a result. Now, fentanyl deaths are bad, but taking drugs that lead to this, I mean, there's got to be a step one. And is there evidence to suggest that marijuana is a gateway drug that leads to drug abuse?
That's been proven time and time again. The NIH and other agencies within the federal government show that the younger people use marijuana or any drug that's illicit or addicting, the more likely they're going to become addicted one day to perhaps a myriad of drugs. We experience today sort of a pharmacological pool of drugs. Those who become addicted usually are addicted to 3 or 4 drugs simultaneously and alcohol as well. So the latest statistic is 21% of marijuana users are addicted to marijuana. And obviously, after they reach a certain level of benefit, and I use benefit in quotations in terms of what makes them feel good and gives them euphoria through their neurotransmitters, they're ready to move on to other drugs. And as they get older, they step up to harder and harder drugs as they go along.
There's a lot of money behind this, though. It's pushing for the legalization of marijuana because money's being
Yes.
made in it. But it's also become a very political issue.
Yes. Yeah, I believe this move to go from Schedule 1 to Schedule 2 is to get votes by Biden. I think it's pretty obvious what he's trying to achieve there. But Tony, there's a lot of news coming out every day about marijuana and pot in general, weed or whatever you want to call it. But it's all bad news. People who smoke it, they experience the same problems that with tobacco, only worse. They see 4 times the number of bipolar disorders among people who smoke marijuana. 3 out of 10 in one study of schizophrenics. It all began with using marijuana. So it's very bad for your health. And now we're seeing that people who, young ladies, women who smoke it, are more likely to have fetal abnormalities, premature labor, infant mortality, maternal mortality. All of those numbers are bad in those who smoke marijuana.
Dr. Fleming, we're up against a break, but one final question for you. If we followed the science, would we be legalizing marijuana?
Absolutely not. Remember that tobacco was legal for hundreds of years until we figured out that it's dangerous for the health, and it's still illegal. It's still legal. However, now we're a much more informed public, and what we do is try to keep it from young people so they don't destroy their lungs and their hearts using tobacco. We should do that with marijuana as well.
Makes perfect sense to me. Dr. John Fleming, thanks for taking time to join us. I know you're out on the campaign trail. Be safe out there on the roads of Louisiana.
Thank you so much, Tony. Take care.